Thank you everyone for joining in today. My name is Ivan Raynovski. I am head coach of IA Fitness UK. You can see our website is here. It's iafitness.co.uk. I have 10 years of experience as being a personal trainer, and I specialize in general fitness, Olympic weightlifting, weight loss. Olympic weightlifting is predominantly my sport. I don't train as many clients who are Olympic weightlifters, but I do train many clients that want to lose weight and that want to get fitter in general and also get stronger. And I've also had the pleasure to work with Team GB athletes, a couple of Olympians, and that really did that did really help my career go up and also help me understand in depth what real training is all about. However, for the average person, we don't need to beast you out like we would the Olympic athlete. So today we're going to talk about the basics and what works, what doesn't, and generally probably break a few myths as well. I really hope. So I think we should get started. Today, topic number 1 is going to be exercise. 3 main ones. Number 2, nutrition. Number 3, sleep. So these 3 things are extremely important when it comes to, first of all, understanding why you perform better or worse, and also helping you perform better. Now with the pandemic ongoing, our daily lives have probably turned upside down a little bit, and our habits have changed. We did a small survey. Thank you very much for those who participated. We actually, out of 16 replies, it turned out that most people haven't really dramatically declined their fitness, but things have changed. And on the diet side, the results were pretty convincing that the diet has gotten worse. So today we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about what we can do to make it better with simple changes as well. So in terms of exercise, a few myths to break. You don't need to exercise every day to be fit, number 1. So with exercise, I'll use my shiny whiteboard today. We have a couple main types, which are aerobic exercise. So aerobic would mean anything that elevates our heart rate and keeps it up there for a prolonged period of time without exerting maximum force. So we're talking cycling, running, rowing, anything of that kind. Aerobic exercise is overused by the majority of people. And the second type of exercise, which I'm going to talk about, anaerobic, is underused. So anaerobic is stuff like lifting weights. They don't need to be heavy weights, but they perform with less oxygen. So that means they're anaerobic, and you cannot perform for such a prolonged period of time like aerobic stuff. So the combination of both leads to a successful training regime. Only doing aerobic exercises, you can live like this your entire life and you'll be considerably fit, but you will not be strong and you will not achieve the tone-up effect, like we would call it. So you won't actually see your muscles shaping up the way you want them to by running, for example. So running, I always give it as a negative example. Apologies for those of you who like running. So I much rather prefer a sprinting routine or something that's higher intensity than lower intensity rather than a jog, because a jog simply does work your lower body and does work your lungs, and your heart, your lung capacity will improve, but it will not help you in generally in looking better and in getting stronger at all. So it's good exercise, but it's just a part of a routine. Coming down to anaerobic exercise, now this is my favorite part. That involves bodyweight exercises that also involve lifting weights, again, starting from light weights and then moving on to heavier weights as you get stronger. Usually anaerobic stuff is done under, the careful eye of a coach. If you decide to do it on your own, serious amount of research should be done, simply because you don't want to hurt yourself doing things that you don't know how to do. Assuming you do, anaerobic exercise is usually performed in the gym or in the gym environment. And you've seen weight machines. Gyms love to sell gyms based on their machines. Unfortunately, machines are not the most effective types of anaerobic exercise. It's actually free weights. barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, and you've probably used the majority of these pieces of equipment. Now, because of the pandemic, many people decided not to go to the gym, or some gyms shut down for a prolonged period of time, and people needed to figure things out for themselves at home. That's why, people that have home equipment, a lot of them, and people that don't, decided to just go on and do full-on bodyweight exercises or boot camps from home and train from home, which will keep them safer, obviously, and means that they don't need to commute to a gym. So no matter which way you go, in gym or outside of the gym, our program, the Bulletproof Training Program, has you covered, because it's tailored to you, to your needs. And if you decide you want to sign up for it, you will definitely not regret it, simply because it's not generic. As generic stuff works for certain people to some extent, and then it stops working. So a program that is generally tailored to you really helps with understanding strengths and weaknesses and how to improve them. So in terms of exercise, also we have to mention duration of exercise. Extremely important. You can have people going to the gym for 30 minutes up to 2 hours, even more. Depending on what your goals are and how frequently you go to the gym, I would say exercising for anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes is absolutely efficient and is the best way to spend your time. For the majority of people, that will be around 45 minutes to an hour. People that spend too long in the gym, two reasons. They're wasting their time, first reason, main reason, or they are performance athletes. Powerlifters, gymnasts, Olympic weightlifters, people that need more time between sets to rest. Again, majority of people don't need that. Well, majority of people need shorter rests, more reps in general, and perfect form, as perfect as it can be, in performing the exercises to keep themselves safe. In terms of frequency of exercise, I will always recommend anywhere between 3 and 5 times a week. The Bulletproof Training Program is based around exactly those numbers, 3 to 5 times. So depending on the individual circumstances, how much free time you have got, how much time you can invest in training, it can be anywhere between 3 and 5 times. Anything under 3 times, it can also be done in 2 days, but there should be realistic expectations about results if you train 2 days versus, let's say, 4 or 5 days. There should always be a rest day somewhere in the week, and that would usually be a Wednesday or a Thursday, because smashing 5 days consecutively can be a little bit difficult for the body, and by the end of it, you end up feeling quite exhausted. And I always recommend having a day off during the week, and then ideally training on a Saturday or a Sunday if you can. If not, you can just do 4 days, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, rest on Thursday, and do a Friday session as well. Depending again on how much availability you have got. The duration of training session on the Bulletproof Training Program, tried and tested, is around 45 minutes to an hour. That's in the gym, and at home, it's right about 45 minutes. So home sessions are slightly shorter, and it's all based on how much equipment you've got as well. We take that into account. Right, I will try not to overextend my talk on exercise, and now we're going to go to nutrition. So nutrition, they're obviously correlated, simply because nutrition without exercise is difficult to maintain. I'll explain that in a second. So nutrition, a few things to consider here. Good nutrition can vary from person to person. So for some people, having a vegan diet would be a good nutrition. I have nothing against that. For other people, they would say, well, meat predominantly would be good nutrition. And also, again, depends on individual circumstances. However, we have to agree that a healthy macro split should not be radical. What does that mean? I'll put it out there. Diets don't work. Diets don't work for anyone long-term unless there is a genetic predisposition, unless there are allergies involved. To wheat, for example, that's always a limiting factor. But that's the these are the exceptions and not the general rule. So when you're forming a diet, you have to consider 3 things. Protein, I'm just going to mark it as a P. Then we have fats. Then we have carbs. Protein, fats, and carbs. The macro split that I recommend, usually, now that I don't want this to sound like rocket science, it really isn't, is 30% protein, 35% fat, and 35% carbs. This is not what the World Health Organization recommends. The World Health Organization recommends around 50% carbs. However, if you consume 50% carbs, it's extremely difficult to lose weight of any kind, to even keep your diet under control, simply because the more carbs, in essence, what are carbs? Carbs are bread, pasta, rice, and the bad carbs are sugar, Haribos, jelly beans, anything that is, well, anything that is sweet, really, and anything that is tasty most of the time. Unfortunately for us, carbs are the tastiest part, I think, in my opinion, the tastiest of all the three macronutrients, but they should be limited, simply because if we overdo it on carbs, our body stores too much glycogen that we don't use, and then that glycogen gets saved as fat. It's what we don't want. So it sounds counterintuitive, but you should actually eat more fat sometimes to lose weight. Back in the old day, when science was not really a thing, people would say, well, avoid fat to not get fat. Makes sense, right? Well, turned out it's not exactly like that. Turns out we should avoid carbs to not get fat. It's all depends on the individual circumstances. For some people, gaining weight would mean gaining 3 or 4 kilos, depends on your frame, and that would be like a dramatic difference. For other people, that would mean getting 10 or 15 kilos, and things like pregnancies would really, really affect you in that respect. But talking about the average person who doesn't have particular allergies to food, this is a macro split that I would recommend. Again, 30% protein, 35% fat, 35% carbs. Going on to fats, what are the good sources of fat? That would be nuts of any kind, preferably raw. You can also have roasted nuts, but unfortunately roasted correlates with salt. Too much salt, not great for us. So we have to manage it, we have to moderate it. So fat's a great source, probably my favorite source. All kinds of oils, olive oil, peanut oil, almond oil, anything you can think of that you can cook with or put on a salad, that's also fat. Oils are actually the main reason why people overdo their fat sometimes, because they don't realize how much oil they actually put in their dressing, for example. So always, I recommend, if you're really serious about nutrition, you can download any of the popular apps and kind of track it for a week and see how your average nutrition looks like. You might be shocked with how much carbs and how much fat you're eating, right? And the biggest shock will be that this number, 30%, seems absolutely unachievable to start with. But then as your knowledge improves and as you get better at understanding what protein is and how to consume it, that number starts going up. Obviously, there will be fluctuations between these percentages, but on the Bulletproof Training Program, this is what would be recommended for someone who doesn't have any particular issues with food. If you're a vegetarian or a vegan, that number will most likely need to drop slightly, simply because it's extremely difficult to consume complete protein without eating dairy products or meat. But it's not impossible. It would just mean that you need to work a little bit harder on research of what needs to be eaten, which I can obviously help with. But there are ways to do it. It just requires slightly longer shopping list. For people that eat meat, protein can be anything of the meat kind: poultry, fish. These are the 3 best types. Eggs. Okay, eggs are undervalued. There was a lot of controversies about eggs. I remember the Daily Mail, not the best example of a newspaper, but the Daily Mail was posting articles about eggs back in 2009, saying that they're pretty much a killer, that this is an absolutely terrible thing to eat. And then in 2011, they posted that eggs are a superfood. So don't always trust what newspapers say about eggs. Currently, science tells us that they're not a superfood, but they're a great food. Simply because the cholesterol in eggs was what was bringing them down on the chain. It turned out that the cholesterol in eggs doesn't really affect our overall cholesterol levels. So happy days, eat eggs and be happy if your diet allows you to. Anywhere between 2 and 4 eggs a day are absolutely fine, depending on your tolerance, also depending on your size. I personally weigh around 95 kilos, so I can eat up to 4 eggs a day happily. I don't eat them 7 days a week, I eat them around 5 days a week, but they're a great meal and you can jazz them up as much as you want, add things to them and make them more interesting. And it's also something that you don't need to think about so much. You just know that one of your meals can be eggs, Monday to Friday, for example. Meats, the best way to form a proper meal, and I think lockdown helped for some people in terms of that, is having a protein, source of protein, source of carbs, and veg. Now, the fats themselves, they're going to come in the protein and also in the dressing that you use for your veg, usually. So protein, if you're really focused on keeping those numbers, should be your top priority because it's the hardest one, the hardest percentage to achieve. So if you look at an average plate, you want half of that plate pretty much to be protein. And then the rest, it can be shared between carbs, in the form of rice, for example, and then veg. For some people, I recommend if you have carbs one meal, let's say lunch, don't have them in the evening. However, I am against low carb diets simply because you probably tried it yourselves or you've had friends that tried low carb diets. They swear by them while they're on them. After the 8 weeks or 12 weeks or as much as they can stand it, they lose lots of weight. Unfortunately, straight after, when you speak to them a couple of months later, they've gained most of the weight back. In some cases, more than they originally had. Simply because it's extremely difficult to sustain a low carb diet. Again, depends how much willpower you've got and what your appetite is. I personally tried it and it did not work for me and it doesn't really work for my clients. So if you're looking for a radical weight loss, totally low carb is the way to go. But if you want to live a happier, healthier life long term and kind of rely on this flexible dieting, what we will call it, I don't recommend going low carb completely because it just makes you crave things so strongly and it's difficult to manage those cravings. One more important thing about nutrition, and I'm going to wrap it up, is a cheat meal. Always recommend a cheat meal. So if you have a decent diet and you feel like your eating habits are good and you're achieving your goals slowly but surely, once a week you can eat whatever you want and in whatever quantities you want, really. Simply because if you're on a slight caloric deficit, which you should be if you're trying to lose weight, otherwise it's impossible to lose weight. So you have to be in a caloric deficit. That means consuming less calories than you intake and then you need to maintain your body weight. If you're in a caloric deficit, you deserve a cheat meal. That can be pizza, it can be ice cream, whatever you like. Make it just one meal though. And that will keep you satisfied and will keep you looking forward to something. Rather than just simply eating strict all week and one day you wake up and say, I don't want to do this no more. So definitely cheat meal, something that I recommend, something that's part of our program, something that I will actually ask clients about. And as I express curiosity, as I gather their experiences and then form my own cheat meals during the week. And yeah, I think it's all about managing the nutrition the best way possible. The effect on the pandemic on nutrition for some people, based on the questionnaire that we had and the answers that we received, some people, around 30% have improved their diet, which is great. And I think that's to do with the fact that you're at home and you have less variables rather than being at work and needing to buy a sandwich, which is never great. So that's good news. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, that diet also declined. That was probably around 40%. And that I think that's to do with the fact that you can end up binging a lot more when you're at home because you have it in your cupboard. You can eat peanut butter all day, even though I like peanut butter. It's all about moderation, right? And this is the problem. So if you can stop binging and form 3 good meals in a day, along with a couple of healthy snacks, you'll feel great. Okay, that was about nutrition. Number 3, sleep. I'm gonna write it at the bottom. Even though it's not the bottom, it's not the least important bit. It's equally important to the first 2. So sleep. I cannot stress how important sleep is. You've all heard the government recommending, all bodies recommending 8 hours a day. 8 hours every day we should sleep. Every night we should sleep, and that will make us happy. And that is true for the most part, but no one really talks about quality of sleep. Now that's really important. So anywhere between 7 and 9 hours is good. It's great. Now, however, if you go to sleep and you can't fall asleep for an hour, and then you wake up 1 hour before your alarm because your brain is racing about work, about life, that's not really 7 to 9 hours. Lying in bed is not sleeping. So keep that in mind. There are a few natural remedies that you can use, stuff like lavender oil. No scientific basis on that, but research has shown that it can help. Also, try not to look at your screen. That's not very fitness related, but try not to look at screens. I know it's difficult. Probably about half an hour before bed. It will help you with your sleep, help you with your mood. That will make you more likely to exercise. So better sleep, better mood, more likely to exercise. These are 3 things that are correlated. So also you're less likely to cheat on your diet because you have less cravings. Simply because we all know the feeling of you had an all-nighter, pulled an all-nighter, doesn't matter what you were doing, probably working. Pulled an all-nighter, and then you wake up after 2 hours of sleep, and then you just want to eat the world, you feel miserable. And you're not going to exercise that day. It's just not going to happen for the majority of us. So definitely pay special attention to your sleep. It's extremely important. It's something that I coach people, help people with. I obviously don't go to bed with them, but I really do my best to make them understand how important sleep is. I have my own periods of, I don't even know why sometimes my sleep is just affected. You can have a child, it can be anything, but do your absolute best to relax before bed, not even avoid reading, in my opinion, even just lying in bed and then having this couple of quiet minutes for yourself, a few minutes for yourself, for you to then fall asleep and have a quality night's sleep is extremely important. And that's where I'm going to stop talking about sleep. Okay, so the initial presentation is now concluded. I hope all of you are prepared for the exercise for today. So the plan for the exercise is the following, right in the corner. We're going to have a warm-up that's going to be around a minute. Then we're going to have a Tabata session. What is Tabata? Tabata is interval style training. So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. It's not excruciating, I promise. I'm not trying to make you feel bad today. However, disclaimer, if you have any pre-existing problems related to exercise, or at some point you feel like you have to stop because you don't feel well, just lie down on your back, relax, drink some water, you'll feel much better, okay? But I assume if you have joined this presentation, you are ready to go. So yeah, the exercise, the program itself is going to be of medium difficulty, as I stated. It's not going to be as long as a full session that I would usually do with my clients. Full session will be around 45 minutes. Today we're going to go for around 25 to 27 minutes, but we'll still do 6 exercises divided in 2 groups. So the way we're going to do it is going to be 3 exercises, 20 seconds on, and then 10 seconds rest. We're going to repeat the entire round 2 times. So times 2. And that's 1 set. Okay? We're going to do 3 sets of this. Then we're going to have a break. We'll change exercises. And again, do 3 more sets of the new exercises, with only 3 of them. It's a full body workout, so I think you're going to enjoy it. And now I will mute myself for about a minute while I reset my gym. And yeah, in the meantime, please get ready. Pick up some water if you don't have it. Keep it close to you. And also, yeah, get ready to have a great workout. We have a 25% code specifically for the people that participated in the seminar today. And well, even if they didn't participate right now, they can still get the code. It's 25% off October. And you get a free consultation with me as well, where we talk about your goals and what I can do to structure the best program possible for your goals. Okay. Right. We are now getting ready for the beginning of the workout. Okay, so team, now we're going to get started. Now, just a gentle basic warm-up that I do with literally all my group training clients. We're going to start with just raising our knees as high as possible, one after the other, and then progressively we're going to move into slight hops with the knees. So what we will call high knees. Okay, go for it. I will not put any music on, as I find that on Zoom it doesn't really work that well. And in general, I talk a lot throughout the workout as I do coach people. So feel free to switch your cameras on if you want to, as I will be giving you tips which will help you perform the exercises better. Keep good. Now we can go with some squats. So hands are on top of your shoulders like this, or straight ahead of you. Then we go down and we go up. What a good squat looks like is somewhere where we go down to the bottom position and then straight up. So this is not a squat. This is a knee and hip bend. Down, full, and then up. As low as your hips allow you to. I assume a lot of you have desk jobs. and you sit on the desk quite a bit. So tight hips are a side effect of that. So go as low as you can. Very good. Keep it up. That's nice. Shoulder rotations now. Arms are straight and we rotate the shoulders. Warming up is extremely important, and as boring as it is, prevents injuries. Last thing we want to be is, well, cold when we're exercising. That's very good. Reverse rotation, please. Just trying to reduce the glare that I'm getting. That's nice. We split the feet, we go side to side. I call this helicopters. That's excellent. Last one, hands on your temples, opposite knee to opposite elbow. So that one requires a bit of coordination. Opposite knee, opposite elbow, hands stay on your temples. So the exercises that we're going to do to start with, very simple stuff. We're going to do squats, press-ups, and leg raises, okay? Squats, press-up, leg raises, they're as simple as they sound. Number one, squats, exactly what we did in the warm-up, down, straight up. That's exercise number one. Exercise number two, press-ups. Press-ups, you can do them two ways. Number one, on your toes, so shoulders are over the elbows, body's in a straight line. We go down, we go up. If that's too difficult for you, no problem at all. You can go on your knees, bring your feet behind you, down, straight up. That's press-ups. And number three, we have leg raises. Okay, leg raises, hands are to the side, we go up, and then control down. Up, and then control down. Those are the leg raises. Now with the leg raises, don't let your legs touch the floor between reps. It's extremely important. So legs stop about 2 inches off the floor, then you go back up. Everyone did absolutely fantastic in the first part. Without further ado, I'm going to go in the second part so I don't keep you here until tomorrow. So second part of the workout, 3 very basic exercises again. They are called alternated lunges, then plank, and then star jumps. Star jumps are the most exciting one. I decided not to punish you with burpees today, because the most logical thing for a coach to exhaust people is usually burpees, but today I decided to be more original. So alternated lunges. We need to raise this up slightly. With the alternated lunges, there is nothing very complicated. We can keep our hands up here or on our waist to the side. Then we go down. Then we go back up. Now, as you see, I'm going quite deep in the stretch at the bottom. If you can't, go a bit higher. But ideally, you want your knee just off the floor. And then up, down, then up. And I promise your legs are going to feel like jelly unless you're already exercising seriously. Then you might just find this quite easily. But yeah, try to go as deep as possible in the lunge. Very important. The deeper, the better the value of the exercise. Exercise number 2 is plank. Plank, I mean, one of the most popular ones along with burpees. Okay, so we're in plank position. Hands are flat on the floor. Okay, hands flat. Shoulders are square with the elbows here. Nice and strong. So, advanced tip, squeeze your bum, squeeze your glutes. Abs tight. Also, try not to be in that position. That would be great if you're not there. Okay, because that's not a plank position. That's plank. Push your hands on the floor, tense your abs and squeeze your glutes. These are the important bits. Your body should be like a plank. Exercise number 3 is the star jump. So another quite popular exercise, but not as bad as the burpee. So from here, we start with our hands to our sides. We split our legs, and as we split our legs to the side, our hands go over the head. like you're waving at someone you know in the distance. Down, and then up. Those are star jumps. They're a funny looking exercise, but they are actually, they catch up on you the more you do them. So it's a great cardio accelerator. All right, let's get started. Well done, fantastic effort. You smashed it, now we're gonna stretch out and we are done. Okay, I go with stretching straight away, saves time. So, squat position, knees out, and you push them with the elbows out. So that means that you are feeling slightly uncomfortable in your hips. You feel stretching your hip down here, and that's good. And your back should be neutral the entire time, so don't allow it to slouch. Shoulders stay back. You keep this anywhere between 30 and 60 seconds. All right. Now from here, we're going to reach for our toes as deep as we can with straight legs, and then try to touch our toes. If you can't, don't worry about it. Go as low as you can, right? Just don't bounce up and down. Just stay as low as you can and go as low as possible. Progressively, you might be able to gain a few inches down. Very good. Moving on, the next one is quadriceps. So I like to hold on to something, but you can do it without holding on to anything. Knees are together. And change sides. When you're doing this stretch, you want your knees to be as close together as possible. Hip forward, knee back. Very nice. The last one that we're going to do is for our triceps, shoulder, and lats. Lats is that long muscle going down the line here. See that your dog actively wants to participate, Jen, and that's great. Mine is in the house. He would love to be part of this presentation. Change sides. Very nice. Team, that is it. Thank you very much for participating in the workout. Now, I hope everyone is feeling okay. I think you all are. So I hope everyone enjoyed today's session. I look forward to seeing you all later on.